All right, let's dive into a holiday story with a title you are definitely going to remember. Merry Christmas, you filthy animal. We're about to unpack a festive romance that's just bursting with the kind of chaos and cheer that makes the holidays so much fun. And you know what? That review totally hits the nail on the head. This story is an absolute riot from beginning to end. So, what's the big idea behind this laugh-out-loud romance? Well, the concept is pretty brilliant, actually. The author, Meghan Quinn, takes a Christmas movie classic that we all know and love and gives it this awesome modern rom-com twist. Yeah, you guessed it. We're talking Home Alone. But get this, instead of an 8-year-old kid, our hero is 30, and he might actually be even less mature. He's been left behind to defend his family's business from what he's convinced are holiday invaders. And you know, the setting here is everything. Evergreen Farm isn't just some business. It is the absolute heart of the whole town. It's the Maxheimer family's legacy. You can practically smell the pine trees and the gingerbread, which makes the stakes feel super high right from the very first page. So this is where all the fun starts. His whole family takes off for a surprise trip to Europe, leaving our resident man-child, Max, in charge. And of course, he's immediately positive that invaders are on their way to ruin everything. All right, so who are the two people at the very center of this holiday tornado? Let's meet them, because their rivalry is the engine that drives this entire hilarious mess. Okay, so you've got Max, who is just pure drama. I mean, the book even talks about how his family complains about his flair for embellishment. Then on the other side, you have Betty. She's just trying to get back on her feet after a business failed. She's grounded, she's practical, and oh yeah, she owns a pet tarantula named Buzz. A little nod to the movie, right? And this quote? It just perfectly sums up how his own family deals with his constant panic. He's trying to warn them about the new competition, and his brother just straight up calls him an imbecile, but, you know, in French, to make it fancy. So what do you do when you feel like no one's listening and you're totally desperate? Well, if you're Max, you cook up a plan, a truly spectacularly unhinged plan to save the family farm. But, you know, to be fair to Max, he's not completely crazy. He actually runs into Betty's uncle, Dwight, who's had this long-running feud with the Maxheimers for years. And Dwight tells him to his face that his new farm is going to make Evergreen a dying entity. Ouch. That was pretty much all the confirmation Max needed. And so, here it is, the foolproof plan. Step 1, get close to the enemy. Okay, makes sense. Step 2, charm her. A little arrogant, but fine. But then we get to step 3, and this is where it just goes completely off the rails. Make her fall madly in love with him. Because, naturally, that's the most logical business strategy. Thankfully, his best friend Cole is the voice of reason here, pointing out the very, very obvious flaw in this whole scheme. But does Max listen? Of course not. So this totally bonkers plan is what sets everything else in motion. But how in the world does this disaster of a rivalry actually blossom into something real? Well, their first meeting is straight out of a comedy sketch. You've got Max trying to be a super spy, sneaking around her cottage with a crowbar. Betty's response? She clocks him in the head with a giant bottle of Pepsi. It ends with him getting arrested and his friends giving him the perfect nickname, a wet bandit. But then, everything changes on something called Cupid Christmas Night. See, their friends decide to play matchmaker and trick them into a double date. And what do you know? It actually works. They end up bonding over nachos, of all things, and have this really great talk while walking through a tunnel of Christmas lights. The whole thing ends with this surprise kiss under the mistletoe, and suddenly, those lines between fake plan and real feelings get really, really blurry. And this right here, this is the moment where you can just see the gears turning in Max's head. He has to admit, probably more to himself than to her, that his genius plan is totally backfiring. He's actually catching feelings for his so-called target, and it is messing with him big time. And just when things are finally looking up, right? They're connecting, feelings are happening, and then, boom, disaster strikes. Betty's in Max's truck when this little rolled-up piece of paper falls out of the glove compartment. And yeah, it's the plan. The entire humiliating, manipulative scheme written down for her to see. So the secret is out in the absolute worst way possible. You just have to ask, how can they possibly come back from this? Is it completely over? Well, this brings us to the grand finale. This is where the fallout from that disastrous plan forces both of them to figure out what they really truly want. So Betty is just crushed. I mean, wouldn't you be? She's heartbroken, she's embarrassed, she packs up her stuff and tries to get out of town for good. But in that perfect rom-com twist, her car breaks down. This gives Max just enough time to finally drop the act, confess that his feelings are real, and start the long, hard process of earning back her trust. And honestly, this is where the story gets really good. They stop trying to destroy each other and actually start working together. They figure out that the town doesn't need another Christmas tree farm. What it really needs is a place for people to stay. So they pivot. Her land becomes this cool, adults-only cottage retreat that actually complements Evergreen Farm. So we jump forward 1 year later, and guess what? Their partnership isn't just working. It's thriving, both in business and in their relationship. They're building a whole future together. When you boil it all down, the message here is really powerful. They started out as total enemies, thinking that for one of them to win, the other had to lose. But they ended up learning that their greatest success came from lifting each other up. And that's really what it all comes down to, right? It leaves you thinking, what really happens when we decide to stop fighting and start building something together instead?